Hello everyone. My name's Christina. This is my first live event, so I'm really excited to be here. Okay, so here we go. So my name's Christina Walley. I started during the pandemic gardening in my home, and then later we transferred our starter plants over to a community garden. And I'm here today just to show you a quick video of how you can start some starter plants from food in your fridge in your home and create a small garden. So here we go. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know if you could tell. So here we go. And I'm gonna have Mike behind the scenes. He's gonna play the video for me, and then we can do a quick little Q&A after the video. So I'll be back and see you guys soon.
My name is Christina, and today we're going to create small starter plants with the vegetables we have in our fridge, and then we're going to transfer them into small pots, our own gardens, or a community garden. So hold on 1 second and I'll be right back with the vegetables I have in my fridge. All right, I'm back. Here are some of the vegetables I have in my fridge. Leeks, scallions, lettuce, celery, Thai basil, tomatoes, and jalapeno peppers. Next, we'll go over some of the tools we're going to use to create our starter plants. Here are some of the tools you will need to create your starter plants. Scissors, paper cups, a cutting board, a knife, newspaper, an egg carton, preferably the cardboard paper ones, pots with holes in the bottom, dishes, and inside the dish there's water, so we'll also need water, paper towels, rocks, and potting soil. Next, we will begin our starter plants. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to start with our vegetables that have roots on the bottom. For the leeks and the scallions, it's best to find the ones that already have some roots on the bottoms of them, as it makes it easier for them to grow. We're going to cut about 3 inches above the roots. All right, here we go. We're going to do the same for the scallion. All right, now I'm just going to continue this process. Okay, now we're going to take one of our jars and put each vegetable into the jar with some water. All right. About 2 inches of water. Then we're just going to drop our leeks into the jar like this and put it near the sun. We're going to do the same thing for the scallions. All right, they're all set. Now for the lettuce, celery, and Thai basil. For the lettuce and the celery, make sure you have bottoms on them. Okay, we're going to do the same thing and cut about 3 inches above the stem. Okay. For these ones, it's best to use a bowl or a dish, as it allows the vegetables to sit in it nicely. All right, so we're going to pour this in. And then we're just going to place each vegetable into our bowl. All right. And last but not least, we have the Thai basil. The Thai basil is very simple. As long as it's still on the stem, we're just going to take it and use the remaining water we have and just drop it right into the jar. All right, so this is the beginnings of some of our starter plants. Next, we're going to do the tomatoes and the peppers as they're done a little bit differently. So first, let's start with the peppers. When cutting the pepper, be careful not to touch your eyes, as you will definitely burn your eyes from the peppers and its seeds. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cut open the pepper. And inside has a lot of different seeds. We're going to use our paper towel and just scrape out some of the seeds. You can also use a knife or a toothpick so you don't get it actually on your hands, as again, it will burn your eyes. Okay, here are some of our pepper seeds. For the peppers, we need to let it dry for several days before planting. So I'm going to put these off to the side for right now. Next, we have our tomatoes. What we're going to do is just cut open our tomato. And inside, as you can see, has seeds. What we're going to do is just remove the seeds. You can use your fingers or a toothpick onto the paper towel. Here are my seeds. These ones do not need to be dried and can go directly into the soil. Next, we will take some of our seeds and then place them into our egg cartons. We're going to place our soil into our egg carton. Now that our egg cartons are filled with soil, we're going to take our seeds and place them into our soil. Here are some dried pepper seeds that I've already pre-made. What I like to do is I like to poke a hole with my finger, take about 3 seeds and drop them in. I don't cover up the seeds so I know which egg carton I already covered. And we're just going to continue this process. Next, we're just going to take our tomato seeds and do the same thing. All right, now that we have most of our seeds into our egg carton, we're going to now cover them up. Okay? Now we're going to sprinkle a little bit of water over our seeds, and be sure not to do this during the daytime when it's very sunny, as it will burn the seeds. We'll place this egg carton near the sun and then watch it grow. Next, I'll show you some of the plants that have already grown. Here are some examples of the starter plants after about a week and a half. The leeks, they've really started to grow, as you can see. Okay. The celery has started to sprout. The lettuce is a little bit slower, but it's slowly growing and starting to sprout out. The scallions, and then the Thai basil. As I was mentioning, the Thai basil, before, when you just stick it in here, you should pull off most of the leaves already so you can use it for cooking, and then you can have fresh Thai basil with sprouting leaves. And then my baby tomatoes in my egg carton. What we can do now is we can take some of these plants and actually just put them right in the ground. For example, the scallions and the leeks, they should be fine to go just right into the ground. For some of the smaller plants, we don't really want to put them in the ground yet as they haven't developed many roots. So we're going to first put them into a small pot. And what I'd like to do is put a little bit of rocks in the bottom of my pot to create some drainage. And then put some soil in. And I'm going to take my tomato plants and I'm going to transfer them in. Normally, I just do 1 egg carton shell per pot. Scoop under to get out some of the roots. Create a little hole. Stick your plant in. I like to press a little bit to make sure that it's sturdy, but I don't pack it down too much as it won't allow the plant to continue to grow. Then I just pour a little bit of water on my plant, and as you can see, since there's holes, it's leaking, so make sure you have some type of container underneath your pot. And then we'll watch this grow. Next, I'll show you the example of the larger tomato plant. Here's our last example of our tomato plant, which is now ready to be transferred into the soil. Thank you so much for watching how to create starter plants in your home from the vegetables you have in your fridge. During this process, if you documented any of your plants, please feel free to send the videos or photos to this email or use this hashtag. Happy gardening and hope to see you around.
I almost forgot to unmute there. Hi everyone, I'm back. So basically that was my beginning video of how to create the starter plants within your home. And later you can transfer them into bigger pots, or you can go to a community garden, which my husband and I did. So I'm gonna just share with you very quickly some images. I'm going to put it in the chat over here. Okay. Hold on one second. I'm going to send out attendees. Or maybe I will just share it because I also have it over here. So I'm going to screen share with you. Okay, so these are some of the starter plants from within our home. And then later we went over to Pacific Gardens over on Atlantic Avenue here in Atlantic City. And we planted our starter plants in the community garden there. And this is basically the process of it growing. So here is the beginning, and then as it grew, we started to develop some tomatoes. We could harvest some kale, as we also did. And then this is a shot of our garden, fully in bloom a couple weeks ago, and what we have from our garden. And I just wanted to give a big thank you to Chuck, Daryl, and Sunny for allowing us to join their community garden, and as it has been like a really it has been a really great thing that came into our lives, especially during the pandemic, since we didn't have a big outdoor space. We could go over there and garden. So I guess right now I'm going to stop screen sharing, and I will open it up for any questions that anybody has in regards to starting your plants and then possibly planting them in a community garden. Okay, Let me look over here really quick. All right. Okay. Okay, so I have one question. Why do you need to have the rocks at the bottom for the tomatoes? Will they still grow if you skip this step? Primarily they will, I feel they will still grow, but sometimes if you do not have any holes or irrigation at the bottom, the water can just sit at the bottom and later it rots the roots. So what I like to do with a lot of the plants is have some type of drainage or some type of breakup in the soil, so it allows for the water to go through and not just lay at the bottom, which eventually can cause rotting. So that's why I put the rocks at the bottom. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, and they probably will still grow, but it is definitely, I feel, helpful. All right, looks like maybe we have some more questions. Okay, we have another one of how long does it take from the initial planting of the starter plants to actually putting them into the community garden? I would say with each plant, it probably varies. I know we actually attempted to do the lettuce and the celery, but I feel as if we attempted to do it a little too soon where the roots weren't fully developed and they didn't make it. So I would say for different plants, different times. The tomato plants, I would say, took about 3 weeks, possibly a little bit longer. The scallions and the leeks, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and they were ready to go into the ground. And then the celery and the lettuce, I would probably wait almost a good month. I just planted another celery where it had more advanced roots, and I feel like it is managing better now than before where I put it in too early. So I would say, depending on the plant, it would vary. Also, you can look at the size of the tomato plants to see if they are, I would say about 6 inches, you could probably start to move them into the garden because then they can withstand the natural elements of the rain and the wind and such. Okay, and then let me see if we have any other questions. Okay, we have one other. Have you changed the way you buy vegetables because you want to try to grow them? Some of the vegetables, I would say, yes, I have changed the way I buy vegetables. For example, the kale, we also planted kale in our garden, and this whole summer, the garden has produced kale for us, so we haven't really had to go out and buy a lot of leafy greens. So that has been really nice, and it's so neat to be able to go over to the garden, take it from the garden, and then bring it into your house and actually cook with it. I feel as if there were more plots, and you could almost withstand a good part of your food supply from a small garden. Definitely, if you eat meats and such like that, you would have to go to the store, but a good amount can come from the garden, which was really pretty neat. Okay, and let me see if I have any others. I have another one that says, will this process also work with all fruits and vegetables? For each fruit and vegetable, there is a different system that you can use. For example, we did one with strawberries where you actually take the seeds off the strawberries. You have to dry them and then you can plant them. There are definitely ways that you can work with this. I don't know if it would work for every single fruit and vegetable, but I would say a majority of them it can work for. So it's really neat. You just have to maybe research a little bit because some of the seeds, before actually planting them, you have to dry them and they have certain requirements. All right, we have a question from Facebook. And I actually didn't use any type of fertilizer. They asked if I used, what type of fertilizer did I use? I actually didn't use any type of fertilizer. The only thing I did use was potting soil. So for all of these small starter plants, I always go to the store and I buy rich potting soil to start off with. You could use it from a compost, but unfortunately we didn't have a compost at the time. So I just used rich potting soil, and then I would transfer them into the garden, and every couple weeks I would then go and put a little bit of potting soil around the plants instead of fertilizer, so it would give them a little more nutrients but not really use any type of chemicals. You can also do this with a compost, like I said, if you have one. And do we have any other questions? I guess too, I should mention that I wanted to bring you guys along on this process because it's something I very much enjoy. And it first started off as just something as my husband and I were doing in our home. Then I took some photos. Then it became actually going into the community garden, which at first I wasn't actually planning for any of this to happen. And it just kind of slowly progressed. And now I'm actually starting to think of an art piece to make from this. So it has really been a process of how this has evolved, and I get to now connect with you guys live online, which is really neat as well. So it really has grown, I guess. I guess that would be a great word to use here, but this whole project has really grown. And it's really neat to see the process and meet all the wonderful people. Like I said too, thank you to Chuck, Daryl, and Sunny for letting us come into your community garden and be a part of your community as well. So we really appreciate it. And I'm not sure here if I can share the link, but I created a small PDF with some resources if anybody wants to try to get started. It also lists local community gardens, some YouTubes of how to start at home with more fruits and vegetables, and then a website or two, so you could read a little bit more. Let me see if I can try to attach this again. I'm not sure if I can in this. All right, I'm not sure if I can, so if you would like to have the PDF, I can send it to you. Hold on 1 second, sorry, I'm just reading the chat here. Let me see if I can grab it really quick and drop it in. I'm not sure that is working. Well, I'm not sure if I can get it to you right now, but if you're interested in it, you can email me at christina.marie.klein@outlook.com, and I'll be sure to send you the PDF with some additional resources, and then we can get that over to you. Oh, and it looks like I have one other question, so sure, I'll definitely answer that. Oh, I have the question of, will you try to grow plants inside during the winter time? And I feel as if we are going to try. Actually, right next to me here is some more Thai basil in a pot. So we do have a couple pots still at our home. We were also planning to try to do some potatoes in our house with some pots. So I will try to grow in our home and see how that goes. I'm sure the smaller plants like the Thai basil and things will work. As for tomatoes and things such as that, that might require more of some type of lights or warmth than just our normal home probably could provide, but I'd be interested into trying that too. But I very much enjoy being able to go over and pick some Thai basil or some leaves off and use them for cooking, as I find it really refreshing, and I love having plants in my home because I think it's proven that having greenery in your environment kind of boosts your overall life experience. And it helps too. So, oh, let me see if I have another question. Potatoes are really fun to grow. We have a participant sharing about growing potatoes in your home, which is really in your home, and growing blue, I think it was the blue ones. And she said it was a really good success. It was almost like digging for treasures. So I can't wait to try that as well. So yeah, I guess for right now, that's about all I have for you guys. And thank you so much for joining in. My apologies if I seemed a little stuttered, because I was a little nervous. I think everything went really well, and I'm really glad to be here. And please follow along with me, and maybe hopefully you can see the possible art piece that comes out of this, as this is part of my process of moving forward. And I'm glad I could take you guys along with me on this and meet some wonderful people and have a really great experience so far. All right. So, and